Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2 is one of the most beloved and critically acclaimed sequels of all time, with fans and critics alike praising it for its compelling story and for feeling like a complete game and not a rushed mess that you can beat in 2.5 hours. I'm a frog, and in this video, I decided to take every ounce of fun out of Force Unleashed 2 and beat it without using a lightsaber. I actually did this already in January, but I accidentally deleted all my footage, leading to me uninstalling the game, never wanting to play it again, and making a Dishonored video instead. But now I've reinstalled the game and still have my no lightsaber save file from January, so rather than starting a brand new save and redoing the exact same thing over again, I'll instead take that save and play on the Unleashed difficulty, which you can only do on New Game Plus, meaning my lightsaber crystals and powers and holocrons that I had unlocked my first go-around will still be there. But on the other hand, this difficulty is way harder than what I did before, and I died a lot. Let's hop in. Our journey begins with the title crawl that 52% of people from the city of Philadelphia can't read. Then Darth Vader arrives on the watery planet of Kamino to meet with Starkiller, except he isn't actually Starkiller, he's a clone, or is he? Yes, he is. My first combat of the game starts, and it tells me to press X to attack with my lightsabers, despite me clearly stating in the intro that I would not be using a lightsaber. And obviously I can't attack people with a lightsaber, but I also take no lightsaber to mean that I can't block with them either. So when a bunch of guys are shooting at me like they are now, I have no choice but to eat their shots, which on this difficulty means my health goes down really quick. Starkiller is madly in love with Juno from the first game despite only knowing her for a week and refuses to kill a hologram of her, which makes Vader call him a failure and a simp, so he spurgs out, escapes, falls for a bit, and the game truly begins with me landing and force-pushing stormtroopers. Your lightsaber color crystals give you bonuses, so instead of using the default red, I add silver and light blue, which let me regen more force from killing enemies and make my powers use less force energy respectively. I would show you the footage of me grabbing these crystals my last playthrough, but again, I don't have it because I'm stupid. This first area is pretty easy because all you fight are regular stormtroopers whom you can easily kill by just spamming push, and when the fancy electro staff guys whose names I don't know come in, they're vulnerable to all of your force powers. If you want to be sadistic, you can give guys backstories before killing them, like this is Paul, who wanted to start his own plumbing company after graduating but was drafted into service by the Empire, giving him no choice but to leave his family behind. And now he's being dangled over a ledge by a space wizard with no one around to save. Oh shit. A couple stormtroopers get sucked into a fan and lose their limbs because Force Unleashed 2 has dismemberment, probably the coolest thing this game added that the first game didn't have. But with me not using lightsabers, this is the only time you'll see it. While using the Force on a giant fan, I was shot and killed for my very first death despite this basically being a tutorial planet. This death really worried me until I respawned with full health. If you didn't regain health after loading a previous checkpoint, this challenge probably would have just been dead here. I mind-tricked a stormtrooper into self-deleting, and by that I mean killing himself, and continued fighting more bad guys until a laser shield came down and I was insta-melted. I met a giant robot, which serves as a mini-boss where you first remove his shield, then pummel him with force powers until you can enter a quick-time event to finish him off. This QTE involves Starkiller using his lightsabers, but let's just pretend that it doesn't. Ribbit. This droid is a neat addition, and I'm sure this game won't span them non-stop in every mission long after they've gotten old. I destroyed a couple computers to lower shields, created more fatherless homes, got introduced to jump troopers, apparently they fly now. I fought another war droid less than 2 minutes after the previous, died in a section where all you have to do is run in a straight line, threw a couple TIE fighters into a pole, and had one last fight where I'm introduced to the new Force Fury mechanic, where this bar fills up, letting you activate Fury and become completely overpowered. I leveled up my grippers and boarded a TIE fighter before Master Vader could come get me, and we cut to Cato Nemoidia, where General Coda is murdering animals and aliens in a gladiator ring, and Starkiller shows up to rescue him, except immediately blows his cover as a fake Imperial when the Baron asks him for the password and he says Fidelio. After killing a few stormtroopers, I was introduced to a miniature ATST that fires missiles that normally you could block with a lightsaber, but thankfully you can also just grip and throw back. Then I met the Sith Acolytes, red guys who block all your force attacks, whether it's lightning, push, repulse, throwing things at them, or mind tricks. And since I can't use anything other than the force, this is kind of a problem. Except the game immediately tells you that you can just grapple them, and upon doing so, they're thrown off balance and you can then have your way with them. This would be my only course of attack for Acolytes though, so they did still present a challenge. I continued wandering the streets of the Cato Institute, killing stormtroopers and wondering how anyone could live here before coming across a few platforms that serve as the lightsaber throw tutorial. I'm not using lightsaber throws in this playthrough, but here you have no option except to throw them, so I did. You said you wouldn't use a lightsaber at all.
I lied.
I went stormtrooper bowling before returning outside and getting insta-killed by a couple acolytes as soon as they spawn for another death. In all the videos I've made over the last year or so, I poke fun at the games I play, but I try not to just bash them and keep the videos fun. And obviously Force Unleashed 2 has its problems, but let me just say now, I think that this is a beautiful looking game. That wasn't a joke. Why are you laughing? I got blasted in the sternum by a rocket for another death in this area where the Baron tries to convince me on the intercom to become a gladiator.
You could have your fill of wine, women, and blood.
I've heard similar pitches for moving to the Philippines. I grabbed another bowling ball which had a saber crystal underneath that I must have missed my first playthrough. I would show me missing it my first playthrough, but again, I deleted the fucking footage. I had another death to an acolyte where he blocked my force push back at me. To get revenge for this my next life, I launched every acolyte off the platforms like a pearl 100 feet in the air. Eventually, I came inside this casino place where another ray shield is put up and I have to find my way around. But you can use the ray shield to help you kill the bad guys by launching them into it, like this. Shit. One thing I wasn't prepared for was how weak lightning seemed to be. Of all my powers, it was the one I used the least because compared to push, grip, and repulse, it seemed to be the weakest by a mile. It wasn't weak when acolytes used it though. There were a few elevators that prompted me to throw lightsabers at them too. I'm sorry. Challenge failed. This is clearly the same thing as me using lightsabers in combat against enemies. Just when the gameplay was starting to get stale, it threw a massive curveball at me. Another war droid. And then after defeating it, when I thought things couldn't get any crazier, there was another war droid alongside a couple stormtroopers and acolytes. They were wrecking me until I found a spot up top where no one could hurt me, and I whittled the war droid's health down until getting the QTE prompt again. For fun though, I continued attacking him with lightning to see if you could destroy him without doing the QTE, and it didn't seem like it. The A button prompt would go away for a bit, then I'd do more damage to him and it would come back, then it would go away again, so I gave up and eventually just quick timed him. Immediately after I finished him off, I took a lightning bolt to the chest and died. My second attempt at this fight, I went upstairs right away though and had plenty of health after the QTE to not get insta-killed. I walked past a hologram of my average Tinder match, then got chased by a gunship that doesn't understand the concept of leading his shots and had to protect a tram from an onslaught of TIE fighters. Then against the previous gunship where you're told to block his missiles with a lightsaber except you can grip them, until he fires several at once. Or in the last phase where he starts firing two at once, in which case I'm kinda boned. He took my health and the tram's health down extremely low and I thought it was Jover, but then I magically teleported to the next part of the level with full health. A cutscene was supposed to play to explain this change in scenery, but I guess my game glitched out because it just never did. I had another death where Starkiller fell to his knees like he was in a Walmart. I had another reset where I accidentally used my lightsabers and rectified the situation by jumping to my death. Ooh, 2 war droids at once. Don't mind if I just run away and basically fight them both individually. I died a couple more times on this bridge. I upgraded Mind Trick, which is mostly useless, but it was my last non-lightsaber powered upgrade. And the bridge ended with another gunship fight where you're told to lightsaber throw his turret, but I refused and instead tried the other powers of my arsenal. This didn't work. So I had to bite the bullet my next life and start throwing my lightsabers again.
You sure are using lightsabers a lot in your no lightsaber video.
Counterpoint, your mother. I slid down a pit, rode an elevator, and walked into a gladiator arena where I met General Kota, who immediately ran away after the Gorog appeared, leaving me to fight it alone. The Gorog is a large and foul creature. According to its Wikipedia page, it's moderated several subreddits, and this boss battle is kind of a slog. I couldn't remember exactly what to do, so I started by shooting lightning all over his face and trying to dodge his attacks. Eventually, he slams his fist down, and you're supposed to attack his wrist restraints, but I didn't do enough damage the first cycle because Force Lightning sucks. I got the first shackle the second cycle, but did a bad job avoiding his other attacks, and before I knew it, my health bar was about 3/4 of the way down. After a few minutes of this fight and getting a second shackle up, he started roaring, and his breath was so bad that he killed me. This erased all my progress in the boss fight, and I had to go back to square one. The second time around, I continued hitting him in the face with lightning before pinning both his hands. I still had no clue how to dodge his breath though and lost a lot more health. But boom, QTE where he loses a lot of health, and now let's do it again. Shackle 1, Shackle 2, he's roaring again. What if I just run to the edge of the screen? Okay, that worked. Another quick time event. Stop using the lightsaber! I'm now up high in the arena for phase 2 of the fight where Kota suggests I cut the cable to send the station in free fall. I only took the Gorog's health down 20% of the way or so before having another death, and it was at this point that I remembered I had Force Fury and used it for the first time since Camino. I got his health down 1/3 of the way and he started breaking stuff, letting me progress. Very thoughtful of him, and I went onto a tower where he just insta-killed me. Thankfully, my checkpoint was right before this part. It seems like if you take too long to damage his hand enough, he just does giga damage, which happened again here, and then the Imperial Jet Trooper shot me to kill me as the screen faded. I was expecting to go back, except I guess I just barely did enough damage to him because I then respawned in the next area with full health and his health still down. I'll take it. Instead of using lightning, I started force pushing him in the face, went up to the next tower where I didn't get insta-killed this time. Dr. Bad Guy got 8, the Gorog grabbed Kota, and instead of immediately eating him too, decided to politely hold him as we fell through the sky. This part is tough and I had a death, but I don't think you would use a lightsaber here anyway, so skill issue. I killed the Gorog, the Rogue Shadow picked us up, Starkiller ran to the bridge only for Juno to not be there, then Starkiller and Kota started yelling at each other.
Drop me at the nearest spaceport before you get lost in the stars, boy.
Why did he just drop the word boy with the cadence of a slur? We cut to Camino where Boba Fett shows up for the sake of fan service, then Starkiller flies to Dagobah, a playable planet that exists in this game only for the purpose of collecting holocrons and padding this game's level count. Starkiller meets a talking frog, then goes into a force cave where he sees clones of himself and a very familiar sight to him, Juno from behind, except, oh no, she's in trouble and we gotta go stop this premonition from happening. So Starkiller and Coda go to her frigate, and despite having this vision of Juno in danger, they slowly walk to the bridge instead of hurrying, until an attack happens and the level begins with me walking in a hallway until we get to the bridge where everyone is dead, Juno is gone, and Proxy the robot says to look out for Boba Fett. This level's a little spooky with the ship being dark and empty and the comms having rebels yelling things like, "What is that?" and I'm so scared right now. This is where The Force Unleashed 2 turns into a horror game. Then the first threat is revealed as just crab robots that come in packs and you can repulse over and over. The other new enemies, Terror Troopers, pose a much bigger threat. They turn invisible and try to sneak attack you, and if you grip, push, or repulse them, they just disappear to dodge it. But if you shock them first, when they uninvisible, they're stunned long enough that you can take them out. They're still tough though, and I got wrecked by them a time or 2, or 3, or 4, 5. I unlocked a door and saw the Fetster escorting the woman of Starkiller's wet dreams, but unfortunately couldn't catch up because I was ambushed by even more Terror Troopers. I jumped through a few burned out holes on the ship, navigated through an engine room or something, and made my way to one of the hardest fights in the game to this point. I was killed right away by Terror Troopers, but that's not why this room is tough. This room is where you fight your first Terror Biodroid. This is an enemy where, yeah, the lightsaber's really good against it, and it would have been nice to have. Even still, though, I wasn't doing myself any favors with my complete inability to dodge its attacks that did enough damage to take down almost all my health. So I had to do the old camp up top and shoot lightning at its strat, which takes a million years and is the sole reason why this video is 2 weeks late. It also doesn't help when after shocking it for a couple minutes, you accidentally walk off the platform, have to fight it on the ground, and get immediately wrecked, losing all your progress. But eventually, after a few deaths, I finally got him low enough to trigger the QuickTime event where Starkiller may or may not have used his lightsaber some more, then fended off the rest of the spider droids to finish clearing the room. We are so back. My fucking game crashed. Well, whatever. I have to do the fight again, but I'll just first try it and it'll be okay. Oh, great. I fell again. Fuck! Let's go scatter to west, right,
What
tight,
is
F,
bro
wow,
doing?
what a fabulous
Hey, everybody.
I'm a
frog.
After regaining my sanity, I killed the big bad General Grievous lookalike droid and raised the platform to progress without my game crashing. I don't know why I found that so hard. I made it to a hangar where the Slave 1
I have the Lego version of it, by the way.
was taking off a Juno, meaning I was too late to save her, but no time to weep because I have a giant crab robot to kill. This boss fight is tough, and the robot resembles the thing that killed Starkiller in the 2007 movie The Mist. It has a shield that you disable by pulling these pylons in the middle, and then you're free to start blasting. If you do enough damage to it, he falls to his knees, and this is where you would start lightsabering it if you weren't doing a stupid challenge for a YouTube video. My favorite thing was when I would force grip an explosive box and try to throw it at the bad guy directly in front of me, only for it to go way to the left for no reason at all. My force powers didn't do a whole lot of damage, so I kinda just had to play the long game, which is why it was unfortunate when I accidentally blew myself up with Repulse and had to restart the boss fight from the beginning and lower his shields again. Once you damage him enough, Terror Troopers start spawning in, which is less than ideal, and his shields come back and don't go down again until you plug a few batteries in. After a few more deaths, I finally defeated the Robo Crab and returned to the hangar as Imperials boarded the ship. This included these new guard guys that have red lightsabers and seemingly block all my attacks except Repulse, which completely smokes them. This fight was tough though, and I had a few deaths, made worse because there are multiple waves that get harder with ATSTs entering the mix, and the waves don't have their own checkpoints, so each death resulted in me starting the fight completely over. After getting through this fight with the help of Force Fury, I slid down a shaft, went back to the obstacle part. Somehow they got a mini ATST down here. I had another death after taking a missile to the appendix, repulsed a bunch of lightsaber guards, had another death by getting sniped, and ran into a brand new enemy type. You may think it's just another war droid that does the exact same thing as the other kind, but you would be wrong. Instead of frozen carbonite, this one has fire. In other words, they just changed the color of his projectiles from white to orange. I probably shouldn't talk trash though, because I did have a death to him. I failed a QuickTime event because I was accidentally mashing X instead of A, then got ambushed by Terror Troopers for yet another death. I think in the Force Unleashed 1 video, I only died like 4 times in total, so at the very least, this has been much less of a cakewalk than that game. The rest of this level, though, is pretty easy and more of the same with me killing Imperials and lighting up power batteries. And unlike Cato Nemoidia, I didn't have to throw my lightsaber a single time. I fired a ship gun using the power of the Force, fought some more crabs on a sideways elevator, and Starkiller returned to the bridge where a cutscene played and my game crashed again. After refighting the crabs, watching the cutscene again, having another crash, fighting the crabs a third time, and watching the cutscene again, it was now time for me to crash the ship into Camino to begin our assault. There have really only been 3 playable areas so far, Camino, Cato Nemoidia, and the ship, so it's kind of weird that we're going back to Camino in the middle of the game, since surely this won't be the last level. The last level of Force Unleashed 2 Electric Boogaloo sees me back on Camino in this area that before had red shields but now has ATSTs that delivered me another death. My next try, I once again remembered that I had Force Fury and thought it was a pretty good time to use it. This level, prior to the Vader fight at least, spoiler alert, doesn't add anything new really. I paused the game for a few minutes to find a new YouTuber downfall documentary to listen to, then continued on my way where I found General Coda under attack by a couple dropships. He asked me to grab TIE fighters out of the sky and throw them at the dropships instead of just grabbing the dropships themselves. I don't know how this guy became a general. One tough fight was where a couple flamer droids came up an elevator in this enclosed room that didn't really have anything to grip and throw at them. This was an exercise in patience since again, lightning kinda sucks. I dashed across a broken bridge to meet the silent cartographer, only to immediately leave and take an elevator myself to go find Juno. Remember those big scary terror droids? Well, in this area, I didn't have an option except to fight them head on. After a quick death, I used Force Fury my next life to kill this one. Only then to run into another one after Fury ran out, so I ran away and tried to figure out a plan. I tried jumping around at different vantage points. While running away, I advanced enough to see a second droid and a walker, and rather than fight these enemies, I settled on a new strategy: run past everything. This led to one death, but then after I respawned with full health, I was able to get past everything. I had one more filler fight before getting to one of the legitimately toughest fights in this game when you first enter this cloning facility place. There are a few jet troopers, whatever, then I get a lightsaber guard and acolyte grouped up together. Acolytes still suck because my only means of attack, like I said, is grappling. After taking out one of these two, a few more acolytes and lightsaber guys spawn in, and this is all the same checkpoint. The biggest problem with acolytes was that while you're grappling, you're still vulnerable to other enemies' attacks, so until I thinned out the non-acolyte enemies, I couldn't do anything against them and just had to try to dodge their not very easy to dodge attacks. After many deaths, I finally managed to kill the last acolyte, only to then get hit by a lightsaber throw and die, and to rub salt in the wound, a terror trooper stood over my corpse, meaning there was a whole nother wave after the acolyte wave I was struggling with. However, everyone needs an ace in the hole, and mine was
Harvey Dent.
No. After another death, I had a life where I played really well and cleared almost all the guards and used Force Fury to mop up the rest. God bless this game for its God mode button. While platforming, I got shot and killed for another death, but thankfully this reverted me to the start of the platform and I didn't have to do that stupid fight again. On the top platform, I got ambushed by two more acolytes and I made the mistake of walking close to the door before killing both, because the next fight is just like the previous where a bunch of Sith guys spawn, and when I died this time, I'd have to fight the two Sith acolytes again off the previous checkpoint. I guess because one of them was still alive when I got the checkpoint, and this meant I would never have full health entering the next room. That said, this fight wasn't as bad as the other one, maybe because there was more cover. I still had my fair share of deaths though. I did more platforming, fought some terror troopers, and went into another scary room where it's foggy and the camera is zoomed in and Vader ambushes you periodically. He's using the lightsaber again. The last step before I could finally fix Juno was to fight Darth Vader, and this Vader fight is the toughest part of the entire game. At first, all I could think to do was throw things at him, which did work, but eventually you run out of things to throw. He starts spawning failed Starkiller clones, but this is the one place in the game where Mind Trick is useful because you can Mind Trick them into fighting against Vader for you. Vader and I played catch for a second, and this is where the boss fight really started. He would throw his lightsaber, and as far as I could tell, there was no way for me to dodge it or block it without blocking it with my lightsaber, so like blaster shots, I just had to eat it. If I used lightning or push on him, he would just block it, but I did notice that I could hit him with lightning while he was swinging his lightsaber. So that's what I did this fight. I baited him into swinging his lightsaber, then I would dodge and shock him. Sometimes he would start like choking me, which was awesome because to break out, you use repulse, which does a lot of damage to him. Because I couldn't block his lightsaber throws, this fight at first was just about getting to the next checkpoint, since eventually, yeah, he would kill me with attacks that I can't block without using my lightsaber. I just had to get enough damage before then to move on to the next thing. My first death in this fight was trying to see if I could just repulse him, which, no. I had another death where I dashed off the platform like an idiot. Most of my deaths, though, just came from the combined damage over time of me messing up and letting him hit me with his swings, plus his lightsaber throws. I did try repulsing a mid-lightsaber throw to see if that would stop it. It didn't, but the more you know. This attempt, I kinda just gave up and tried to die. I mentioned just trying to get to the next checkpoint. This is the last checkpoint of this part of the fight. So his health was well over half, and I just somehow managed to get him all the way down from here on this one checkpoint. I think I've given enough basics of this fight to explain exactly what I had to do as I show more of my deaths on screen. Getting past this finally just boiled down to not screwing up when he was swinging. I couldn't afford to take any damage that wasn't him throwing his lightsaber. And I also had to get kind of lucky with him throwing his lightsaber as little as possible. The most painful death I had was when he took down the platform I was standing on when I was actually in a really great position health-wise. Like, that sucked. At some point, I switched off just using lightning and started using push 2, until one life, he took my health to the red, more clones spawned, and I was worried about them killing me, so after mind tricking them, I bailed to the next platform, and then a cutscene played. I guess I did enough damage to him. That seemed kinda random, but I'll take it. The game isn't over yet, though. We go outside in the rain where Vader has Juno and tells Starkiller to do his bidding, or he'll kill Juno, until Juno grabs Starkiller's lightsaber, and instead of just calmly taking the lightsaber, given that he's Darth Vader and she's just a chick, he murders her, losing his leverage with Starkiller, leading to our final phase of the fight with him. This fight is an absolute cakewalk if you have a lightsaber. Like, look at this alternate footage on Unleashed difficulty, the same difficulty. He can't block your lightsaber attacks, and by virtue of using a lightsaber, you get quick time events that do giga damage. It's not hard at all. But without a lightsaber, this is complete, unmitigated ass. It's still basically the same fight as the last part of the Vader fight. He blocks my attacks unless he's swinging. He still throws his lightsaber, except he now also has another unblockable attack where he hits me with lightning that does even more damage. After bashing my head into a wall, having an absurd number of deaths, I did figure out one strategy that was pretty good. If I let him swing his lightsaber twice, immediately after the second swing, I could just push him over and over and he couldn't block it. I would only stop when I ran out of force points. But even with this, I simply could not do enough damage to keep up with him since he now had multiple attacks that I couldn't block. So after consideration, I decided to allow myself to block with the lightsaber because I don't think it would be possible to do it on this difficulty without blocking, without some glitch that I don't know about, or without being a Force Unleashed 2 Giga Sweat that knows some combat trick I don't. I did do this without blocking in the footage I deleted, but that wasn't on Unleashed difficulty. I don't remember if it was on hard or just normal though. So yeah, I did beat Vader still only using force attacks. I didn't start swinging at him or anything with the lightsaber, but this was kind of disappointing that I had to change the rules at the last second, but maybe take this as a challenge yourself to do what the frog couldn't, and do this fight on Unleashed without lightsaber attacks or blocks. I had a quick time event where Starkiller lit up Vader like a Christmas tree, but somehow he wasn't dead. A meme scene happens.
Your feelings for her are not real.
They are real to me!
And I chose the light side ending where you spare Vader and Juno comes back to life and kisses Starkiller, blah, blah, blah. So, can you beat the Force Unleashed 2 without a lightsaber? Yes, but probably not on Unleashed difficulty, and not without every required instance of lightsaber throwing on Cato Nemoidia, not to mention the QuickTime events. But otherwise, yeah. If you like this video, be sure to click the Force Unleashed 1 without a lightsaber video on screen if you haven't seen it already, or go to my channel and check out my other banger videos. Thanks to my patrons, like always, for their support. Except for you-know-who.